Welcome back to Fantasy Football Today, presented by Snickers. Snickers satisfies. I'm Jamie, that's Dave, that's Heath. We're looking at the wide receiver and tight end options off the waiver wire. We'll start with the wide receivers, and here are the ones you should be looking to add. There are a couple guys at the top that could be immediate starters for you. Davonte Parker's in a great situation taking on the Jets. KJ Osborne, as long as Adam Thielen is out, is in a great spot for the Vikings. Mon-Fri St. Brown, back-to-back games with double-digit targets, as long as TJ Hawkinson and the running backs are out. Good opportunity for him taking on the Cardinals. And Gabriel Davis, without Emmanuel Sanders there, could be in a good position for fantasy managers as long as Josh Allen is healthy as well. You see a lot of these other guys are sort of tied into injuries also. You got the Jalen Guyton, Josh Palmer situation, depending on what happens with the Chargers guys, with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. We'll talk about some of these guys, though, here, and we'll start with Davonte Parker. So we told you at the previous segment that Tua Tagovailoa, great opportunity for him taking on the Jets. Same thing for Davonte Parker. So, Dave, is Parker a must-start fantasy receiver this week?
I like him as a number 2 wide receiver. I've got him ranked higher than I thought I'd have him ranked, but you go back and you look at the 3 games that Parker's played with Tua Tagovailoa this year, and I'm discounting week 2 when Tagovailoa only threw 4 passes. He got hurt in that game. At least 11 fantasy points, in each of those games. And this was the one where it was 11. It was actually higher. I used to say it was 12 or more. But in this one, he only had 5 targets. He caught them all, had 62 yards against the Giants. And I think he bounces back with an even bigger game against the Jets. The Jets have allowed at least 9 non-PPR fantasy points to 9 wide receivers in their last 7 games, with 7 total touchdowns allowed in that span. Plenty of opportunity for Parker to do well.
Do things change for Parker and maybe for Waddle, too, if Will Fuller plays?
But it sounds like he's not going to play. It sounds like he might be done for the year. Like, just the sound, it just feels like the Dolphins each week say, nope, no Will Fuller, staying on IR. And I hope that happens. But if Will Fuller does come back, obviously it would change things for everybody.
Let's talk about KJ Osborne. So the Vikings play Monday. You're making your moves on Tuesday. How much of a priority are you putting on KJ Osborne, who's been very good this season when his targets have been there? You see what he had against the Steelers, 9 targets, 3 for 83 and a touchdown. He's basically a borderline must-start guy for me if there is no Thielen. I don't know how you feel about it, Heath, but we have to wait out Adam Thielen, and we might not know.
It's kind of the same situation to Mon-Fri St. Brown, because I think both those guys are high-end number 3 options as long as the guys don't come back and replace them. But if Adam Thielen comes back, then you're really concerned. I don't, from everything we've heard so far, don't feel like there's a great likelihood we're going to see Adam Thielen in this game. So that makes me feel pretty good about Osborne as a number 3 wide receiver. I do think there's also just a little bit of risk. There haven't been a lot of games that have been both Tyler Conklin games and KJ Osborne games. So if it's a Conklin game, that could be a problem. But I think you see him as a guy that's going to get 7 or 8 targets, probably 70 to 80 yards, and you hope he scores a touchdown.
All right, so hopefully does even what he did last week. We would certainly be thrilled about that. Didn't take away from Justin Jefferson. Helped Kirk Cousins, who needed the replacement without Thielen there. So just keep an eye on Thielen's absence. You mentioned St. Brown. He's been playing very well lately. So, Dave, he's got back-to-back weeks with 10-plus targets. He's been a go-to guy for Jared Goff. We were talking before the show that he has a chance to, statistically, by the end of the season, be among the top 3 rookie wide receivers, potentially if he passes Elijah Moore and Devontae Smith. But things are starting to click for him the last 2 weeks, and it's because of the guys missing for Detroit.
It's all about opportunity, and we know that if DeAndre Swift isn't there and if TJ Hawkinson isn't there, then Mon-Fri St. Brown, who is there, can pick up a lot more in the way of targets and catches and be useful in PPR leagues. I'm not sure if I'm ready to trust him in non and half PPR leagues. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to trust him if Swift and or Hawkinson come back. If Hawkinson's back and the running game is still a mess, then I think I can buy into St. Brown as a middle-of-the-pack wide receiver 3 in full PPR. But if both those guys are back, I'm not sure if I really want anything to do with St. Brown.
All right, so good PPR, not so good in non-PPR, maybe half PPR depending on what you need. Could be a number 3 receiver for you in this matchup against Arizona. Again, tired defense, having to go on the road, so we'll see how things go for the Cardinals, although they've been better on the road than they have been at home. Heath, I want to talk about Donovan Peoples-Jones because I don't think we give him enough credit. When he's been healthy this season, at times he's shown some flashes. They're still trying to get through this Odell Beckham absence, and he's coming off a very strong game where he was rested and healthy against a beat-up secondary in Baltimore. He's getting a secondary for the Raiders that has sort of fallen apart lately, at least a little bit. Can he replicate something similar to this, or at least enough that you would feel comfortable with him as a number 3 receiver?
Yeah, I think as a boom-bust number 3 wide receiver, you certainly can. He's got 5 targets or more in 5 of his last 6 games. He's averaging 19.8 yards per catch over his 2-year career. So he is definitely one of those guys that can make your day with one play. But you also have to recognize there's significant risk. They could be a game where they run the ball 40 times, throw it 18 times, and he gets these 3 targets. So not safe, but a good upside for a number 3 wide receiver.
And there is the report in Cleveland about Baker Mayfield, Kevin Stefanski not on the same page because of Baker's health concerns and some of the play calling. So maybe they get on the same page, and this is one of the guys that Baker leans on. We'll find out about the tight end situation as well if David Njoku is able to play.